Do you want more opens for your emails? Well, here's a way. Now, opens are so important because obviously, hey, no opens, no clicks, nothing happens. So you got to get those opens. So I suggest that you perform an email subject line analysis. This can be one of the most powerful things you do in your business. And I'm going to walk you through the specific steps of exactly how to do this. It's easy. You can do it. You can outsource it, whatever. Number one, let's see what works for your list. So don't go Google best email subject lines and look at what somebody wrote about in a blog post somewhere. Instead, let's do an analysis of actually what's working for your specific list. I suggest you start by making a list of all the email subject lines for X months, 6 months, 12 months. I won't go much beyond 12 because the marketplace does change. But let's start with that. Hopefully you've got 30 to 50, 70 emails in there. And obviously you want to include the open rates for each one of those email subject lines. All right. Now, the next step is to go through that and quickly just remove those that were sent during a product launch period. Because when you're product launching, everything changes in terms of open rates, good and bad. Now, that's a separate analysis that you should do separately, is look at all your emails from your launches and look at the open rates on theirs. But for this one, we're just talking about the day-to-day broadcast emails that you're sending out. Now, here's where the real power comes in this, is to take that list and categorize them. What I recommend you do is put them all in an Excel or Google Sheet document. Here's the email subject line. Here's the open rate. And then make a series of columns behind that. So one of those columns, you're indicating, is this a logical email subject line or an emotional email subject line? Okay. Is it telling them clearly they're going to get something logically, or is it something that you're trying to appeal to their emotions? Put that in there. All right. Next column. Is this a mystery email subject line, or is it clear what it is that's being delivered in the email? And just put that in the next row of ones. Next, is it over X characters or under X characters? And you can choose what those characters are. I like to choose the number 40 because 40 makes it really easy to see on a cell phone. You can see them all going down there. And what I find is that there's oftentimes a difference in open rates depending on whether they're longer or shorter. And so I encourage you to make a column that says under or over, and then any other factors that are particular to yours. So it could be that you have this system where you mail early in the morning and you mail at 5 p.m. And so if you had that going, you may want to say, okay, which ones were mailed early, which ones were mailed at 5 p.m. And so that you can, anything that you do differently in yours, add a column and indicate which one it is. All right. Then what you do is once you get that categorization done, then you work some Excel magic. You can use a pivot table to do this. You can simply sort it on, okay, the column is emotional. And then you go down and do average of the open rates for the ones that are emotional versus logical. All right, now we're going to do on clear versus mystery, and you do that. Or you can do a pivot table, whatever works for you. Doesn't matter. We're just trying to get the numbers, okay? And so what you're doing then is that for each one of those factors, you're averaging out what the open rates were for each one of them. And by the way, I'm sorry, there's one more thing we need to talk about here. And that is, as you do those and you do them initially chronologically, look, do I have a trend going here? Are they dropping? Are they staying flat? Are they increasing? Because if your email open rates are, for example, dropping over time, then the analysis I just talked about can be totally fouled up unless you're evenly putting emotional versus logical throughout that time period. All right. So just be careful with that because it's a data issue. But what you're doing here is you're seeing what's working. Is emotional or logical working better? Is mystery or clear working better, etc. And so you're seeing what's actually working in that analysis. And then we use that to guide us as we create future email subject lines. All right. Number 2, repeat your best performers. So what'll probably happen as you do that analysis and just look at that, you're going to see, hey, these 5 email subject lines way outproduced everything else on the list. All right, let's use them again. But Don, everyone will realize, and actually nobody in the world is keeping track of your email subject lines. I can guarantee that. If you use the same one every week, people are going to quickly get that. But hey, if you go back and you say, okay, here's my top performing ones for the last 3 months, I'm going to use them again. And then 3 months later, I'm going to use them again. And you just put them into a rotation. That works great. Never be afraid to take what works for you and do it again. Number 3. Still, actually, I didn't say that. Copy your competitors. Actually, maybe we should cross out copy too, because some people get really concerned about this, but guess what? You legally cannot copyright an email subject line, just like you cannot copyright the title for a book. It's too short. You cannot copyright that. You cannot protect it in any way other than get a trademark on it, and trademarks probably don't apply at all in these. This is a rich, unused idea source. May I suggest that you take somebody who you admire their email strategy and then simply search on the name. So if you're using Gmail, that name that shows up in the first column, and then here's the subject line. That name is their sender name. Okay, search on their sender name. And what it does is that'll give you a list of every email subject line they've used to send you an email. Hey, what a great idea source. Maybe you screenshot it. Maybe you take and copy and paste them all into something. Maybe whatever you do, take the people who are really nailing it in your particular industry and grab all theirs and then ask yourself, okay, that from that list of their subject lines, first off, I'm going to do a similar analysis. Of course, I don't have open data, but I'm going to see what percentage of them are mystery versus clear. What percentage of them are logical versus emotional? What percentage of them are over 40 characters, under 40 characters? I'm going to do that similar data because that'll tell me, hey, this is somebody who email appears to be working for them. I want that data in my own. And then I ask myself the question, hey, which ones of their email subject lines do I really like that I could copy? And which ones of their email subject lines could I modify to make my own? So I'm using them as guidance. Can you see what I'm doing here? I'm taking, first off, let's start with what works from what you're already doing. Now I'm trying to expand it out and say, all right, here are other people who are competing in your industry. I want to get learnings from them. I don't have open data, but I can sure get ideas from them. Number 4, in a related area, is keep a subject line swipe file. So you can do that with just having a text document that's open on your thing. Have a Notion database. Have a Excel spreadsheet, or have a sheet or a doc or whatever. Just have something that every time you see a great subject line, you simply go and add it to that. It really doesn't matter what their email was about. If that email subject line was appealing, was interesting, broke through, made you want to open it, put that in your email subject line swipe file so you've got it for idea generation later on. So you're sitting there going, what should I use in this email? Oh, maybe I should just open up my swipe file. There'll be an idea there. Boom. Oh, I like that one. Let's modify that one, use that one in my email subject line. So this is why we create swipe files, is so that there are wonderful idea generators. Plus there's also the whole, let's see how they're doing it in reverse engineering. All right. Number 5, commit to testing and tracking. So I know I just stepped over the line for some of you, but hey, if you just create an intentional strategy, then I am going to regularly do some things to measure email subject line performance and to see if I can improve that. Just by saying I'm going to intentionally work on improving my email open rates, what that does is it creates a new way of thinking. You just don't drop an email subject line in there. You start putting some analysis, you start measuring later on. And so we're going to do some strategies like A/B split testing our email subject line. I have a video about this. You may want to go check it out. You may want to look at things like resends to unopens. So this is a strategy we oftentimes use in launching, where we'll send out an email, and then everybody who didn't open that 8 hours later, we send out another email just changing the subject line and maybe the first couple of sentences so it matches that subject line. Well, maybe if you find that that both logical and emotional subject line emails work for you, all right, if we send out a logical one the first time, as we resend to opens, let's put an emotional one there. In other words, intentionally do it as opposed to just, what subject line should I use for the resend? Oh, let's send the opposite style of whatever we sent before. You may want to be thinking about things like time of day. Do I get different email open rates at different times of day? Then, once you're done with all of this analysis, please, please, please do not fall into the trap of one thing all the time. Logical works for my audience. Okay, every email subject line from now on is going to be logical. You need to, number 6, mix things up. This is the reason why most of us don't go to the exact same restaurant and order the exact same dish every single time we go out. I know some of us do, but you want to mix things up because variety can do amazing things. So don't just do all of one thing. Mix it up as time goes on. So as we go through this process of intentionally working to improve our email open rate, because that right there is one of those things that it's a little ball that starts rolling down the hill and creates the giant avalanche at the end. And so if you're going to work on anything in your business, look at the things what are the little balls that can create the giant avalanche? And email open rates is one of those. Intentionally work on it and recognize that what gets measured improves. What gets measured and reported on improves exponentially. So you may want to take your mastermind group, your group of friends, somebody else, and report on them. Here's how I'm doing on my email open rates on a regular basis, just so that you are focusing on being intentionally and working to improve them. All right? There's some strategies to help you improve your email subject line. That's all we looked at. We didn't look at all the different things you can do to improve email deliverability. Just focusing on that subject line will do a world of good for you, and I strongly recommend you do so. This is Don Crowther saying, just go do this stuff.